me a moment to realize it was you saying there, Ken, not Sean.
Trying to fill in.
He does have a nameplate.
I can't see that.
He's got his name on there. You do have a nameplate, yeah.
Okay.
It's a nice one, actually.
Everyone, please rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a special meeting of the Township Board of Supervisors on this August 30th, 2023. It's 4 p.m. This special meeting was duly advertised, and the notice has been provided to the Township Supervisors to verify that. Right now, we'll take any public comment on agenda items only. Hearing none or seeing none. Moving on to unfinished business, the 2023 road program, Part 2, the contractor recommendations. Who's going to take that one?
I will do that. On April 12th, we received bids for the 2023 road program Part 2. There were 6 contractors, I think, that we received bids from, and 5 contractors we received bids from. Based on that, the bids were reviewed by Pannoni Associates. Mr. Torpy's letter is attached with your packet. His recommendation is that the contract be awarded to James D. Morrissey Incorporated of Philadelphia in the amount of $2,829,969.05. I'm asking for the board's approval to award this contract.
Or is there a recommendation or a motion to approve the contractor recommendation letter to James D. Morrissey in the amount of $2,829,000, $8,229,969.05? Did I do that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Okay, 5-0. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. All right. Okay, supervisors. Nancy, you want to go first?
Sure.
Since you're on the agenda?
Yep. I just wanted to ask the board and to provide better access to our constituents. We had a situation where someone was trying to access a meeting. We don't have a current policy in terms of accessing through Zoom. I know during COVID it was sort of wonky. We did it for supervisors, we did it for committee members, and I'd like to make the motion that if some constituent contacts our manager, it can be a time frame. We could work a policy, but that if someone wanted to access a meeting, that they could do that. You know, we've talked about some of our meetings are at 4 or 5. And it would give them the opportunity if they wanted to participate or if they had an interest in learning, maybe they want to join a committee in the future. It would just give them that opportunity to start to learn about the township. We've been award-winning for all of our communication. It just opens the door for a lot other people. So I just wanted to make that motion that we would maybe start to work on a policy of terms of Zoom access for our committee meetings as well. So I'm making the motion that we start to create a policy so there's access. I don't want to create a hardship for the staff, but I think it would make sense that we start to create that accessibility.
My recommendation for that, and Nancy, I don't disagree with you, is that we have some kind of requirement of residents requesting access within 24 hours prior to the meeting to give our
Right.
staff time to set it up appropriately.
Exactly. I don't want to create a hardship. I just think it would be nice.
Yeah, I don't want it to be like a standing invitation that there'll always be a Zoom, but obviously if somebody needs access, I think we should try to accommodate that.
Right.
Right. I think we did have a discussion about this in the past, and there was some issues with making it universal. Like, for example, sometimes we're not in our main meeting room. Sometimes we have smaller meetings. Sometimes we have meetings actually out in the field. I know Planning Commission will go tromping around on a field trip, and that's an official meeting. So there will be technical problems. I think this room might actually have some technical problems for Zoom, but I'm not entirely sure how it works in that back room. I agree that there should be some notice, but I think the staff should be determining whether it should be 24 or 48 hours because it's their They're the ones that'll have to set it up. And anybody that's done hybrid meetings during COVID knows that there are some challenges. So I'm not opposed to the idea either.
I mean, I think probably 90% or more of the meetings are probably in this back room where there's where there's the Zoom access. But like I said, I'd be open just to seeing if we could agree to, let's put a policy together, having, our staff sort of help drive it.
It does expand what COVID left us with. I mean, it was rare that anyone wanted to attend a committee meeting. They wanted to participate in the board meetings, but, so that is expanding that access. And I want to hear from Stephanie as to how onerous or not onerous this would be, because it does require a lot of staff time to set up or to keep track of a request for a Zoom call. Steph?
Yeah, we would definitely need to make sure that everything is centralized for the request so that there's only a handful of people who can set up the Zoom and then provide access to the different departments. So if, for example, I'm not at a meeting or the assistant may not be at a meeting, one of the department heads, they're not always as familiar with the Zoom access, so we'll definitely have to make sure that occurs. I know in here sometimes it's tenuous sometimes when we have to do Zoom and a presentation at the same time.
Are we talking about Zoom for committee meetings or public or this meeting?
This meeting is obviously televised, Facebook, that kind
Right.
of thing, because we're set up to do that. I believe
this is
would
just
be
for
our
committee
ABC
meetings.
meeting, what I
Yeah,
would call our
it's
ABC.
committee meetings. I mean, if someone's interested in joining or being a part of a committee, it's a great way to learn. They may go, oh, I'm really interested in that, or
Yeah, and it's also, if you really want to learn and be a part, you should show up in person, right? I mean,
Well,
this is
sometimes-
something new that we've never done before. If somebody was interested, they come to the committee meetings and they sit there and they learn or participate. So the other thing that I would, if we're going to do this, there should be part of this rule or whatever it is that you can't be on there with your icon. You have to be on there with your face.
I agree. I agree with
You know,
all of those
no-
things.
No little icon. That's for anybody who's using the Zoom.
So I don't necessarily think that that would be a good idea. And the reason why I say that is one of my other concerns is that we've seen Zoom bombing happen where there's inappropriate content put on the screen. And I would at least hope that if somebody was doing that, I almost would think it'd be better not to have their faces on the screen at all. And then when and have the sound muted until there's time for public comment, and then we can open up the sound, unmute people if they have questions and that type of
My
thing.
concern is, Jen, I haven't seen Zoom bombing since we first had Zoom, way back when, is that who is participating? Who's actually there? All I see is initials.
Yeah.
And,
Personally, I'm all for accessibility and having people, but Zoom is not an effective way of communication. It's just not. And if you're saying that somebody's interested in a meeting, well, then come to a meeting. And if you're saying that they can't come to the meeting because of the time, well, then it's not going to be the right group for them anyway.
It could be a topic, too, that they're interested in. I'm just trying to create another way of transparency and accessibility, and all I'm looking for is an opportunity to maybe put a little, work with Stephanie and say, is there a policy or way to do it that makes everybody happy? I'm very open to the whole idea. I just think it's something we should discuss and think about, that's all.
I also kind of disagree with the thought that we need to make sure people are here in person for these meetings, just
I think they should be
because
here in
of-
person.
Yeah, but there's people with different physical,
Well, that's different.
right?
I totally agree if someone has
There's
an
certainly
inability.
exceptions to the rule. This is about making a policy that people can just Zoom in. We've made, I think there's different ways that you could look at it, and certainly if there's limiting challenges for somebody to be here physically, that's one thing. To make a policy where if you want to Zoom in to committee meetings, you can. I don't know. I think it creates chaos in committee meetings. We've had people Zoom in our park and rec meetings. It's not, it doesn't, there's, things are lost in translation. It's just, I don't know. I don't think it's an effective way of, and it has nothing to do with transparency or.
Well, it could be something as simple as you can Zoom in to listen. Please submit your questions in advance, because we're not, we're still working on the technical piece of it. I just was thinking, there's people who want to learn about water and sewer, there's people who want to learn about parks, or people who want to learn about the bike trails. At 8 a.m. bike trail, if you're getting your kids on the bus, is not going to be the easiest meeting to get to. But, I mean, everybody loves the bike trails, so,
Well, if they're
That's
putting
all.
their kids on the bus at 8 a.m., they're not going to be able to get to the meeting anyway.
sorry, I can't hear you.
If they're putting their kids on the bus at 8 a.m., they're not going to be able to Zoom in at an 8 a.m. meeting anyway. Just to
Well,
that
they
point.
could be watching their kid at the end of the street while they're on the call.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, people can multitask. I'm just trying to be, just thought it'd be a nice thing.
Well, Stephanie, why don't you think about it and then?
Well, staff can draft a proposed policy and bring it back to the board for consideration at your next meeting, if that's acceptable.
Yeah, that'd be fine. The one thing I would maybe add to that policy is some kind of clause about technical difficulties, like
Which we've
obviously-
had, yes.
Obviously, we would like to, but that back room, we've had issues where, even with experienced staff, something's wrong, that we have to go through and restart. It takes us 5 minutes or so to get up, or if, say, we don't have staff on hand that knows how to fix that. Just an understanding, like, we will do our best to include you, and if we hit technical difficulties, we will contact you as soon as possible about that
Perfect,
situation.
yeah.
I have a question for Jeff. Is it required that we have a public comment section for people who are Zooming in?
For committee people? I mean, for
For-
committees?
For public, yeah.
No, if you have a Zoom capability for the board meeting, yes.
Okay, but committees, you don't.
But currently, we have Zoom ability for a committee person, if they're traveling and they want to do a vote, or they're talking about something, we offer that to our current committee members, correct?
Correct, and that's the result, Jeff, the milk board case from way back when.
Milk marketing case.
Milk marketing case, sorry, when it became, I knew it had to do with milk. When board members were able to call in on a telephone to participate. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yes.
Yes, so telephone.
Subject to criteria, though. Subject to a
Right,
criteria.
that everybody could hear, and I think with COVID and everything, I think the telephone just morphed to Zoom or Teams or something like that.
Okay, so we'll see what it looks like. Thanks, Stephanie.
Okay.
Thank you.
You have anything, Dan?
No, I've got nothing to add at this time.
Not for this meeting.
Nope.
Okay, I do. And so I'm going to use all of your time, because I have a show and tell. And it's a little history lesson, too. In 1995, we started this, let's have concerts for people to come. And we had a showmobile. And a showmobile is like this big box that it opens up, and there's a little stage, and there's its own sound system, and maybe there's a little room, I don't know. We used the showmobile for many years, and we actually shared it with the borough. So we had little concerts in Fanny Chapman Park using our showmobile, and it was really good. It was very good, rudimentary, but it was very good. Rudimentary in that in 2016, it took maybe 10 years to do it, but in 2016, we opened up our amphitheater. And we've had the good fortune to have CNN Bank be the sponsor. It costs them money, and Thompson Performing Arts sponsoring the Thompson Performing Arts series every year. And it takes $30,000 to put on a concert series every year. And we have raised money for this every year, and we will continue to do so. So I want you to know that it doesn't happen, just happens. Karen negotiates every contract, schedules the performers, picks the performers. I mean, she gets countless number of applications of performers. So that's Karen, and she just keeps it going. We don't hear about it, it just happens. And we went from 100 people in the first few years of concerts, from 3 concerts to now 12 to 14 concerts a year from a few hundred to a few thousand at the concerts. And this year, we also, we've continued the 50/50 raffles. This year, we probably earned close to $10,000 in the raffle business at the concerts. This fundraising is an additional capital campaign that we're doing. So I just want you to know that it does take some time, it takes a lot of effort, and thank goodness to CNN Bank and Thompson Organization for their sponsorship, and the other folks that sponsor every year. And with that, can you please roll in? Our last concert, folks. Just want you to see the crowd. So it's hard to enjoy that bit of business, and when you're there, you're really immersed in it, and it was very moving. And we saw some lights didn't represent everyone that was on that were on that hill, but it was just wonderful to see all these thousands of people who have been going to the series this year, having such a good time. I mean, you can barely find a parking space. So I want to thank Karen and the volunteers, the Park and Rec, and Stephanie Mason, who show up every concert, make hot dogs. So thank you very much.
Barbara, is there another show tonight?
There is another show tonight.
Great lead
And
in.
tomorrow night.
Tomorrow. Thank you, Dan.
Great lead-in.
Good segue.
What's the music tonight? Is it Big Chill?
Big chill tonight.
Chill, and tomorrow is
Yacht
Yacht
Rock.
Rock. Okay.
Hard to say.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, this is our third rescheduling of Yacht Rock tomorrow, so hopefully it will take place.
Yes.
Okay, did I ask everybody? Ryan, you're good? All right.
I just had one comment. Mrs. Santa Cecilia asked me if Mr. Garten could attend the next budget work session, I believe it was. That kind of needs consensus from the board, so I just want to make sure that if we ask him to attend.
Do we have a why?
We should
Why?
have.
Why?
Yeah.
I just
Because
feel
we
like,
pay for him to be there.
I understand.
Yeah, so I want to know why.
I just feel that the budget meetings and some of our conversations have been heated, and I think civil discourse is important, and I feel with our solicitor there that the temperature will come down a bit, and I'm just looking, and I want to feel safe in the environment in which we all speak.
Aren't you there, Chief?
Police department's usually there.
I think they're good at what they do. I don't know that we need the solicitor there to act as a babysitter.
I would like to make the motion that the solicitor is attending the budget meeting. I feel really strongly about that, and
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? The motion fails for want of a second.
okay, I would sit next to you, Chief. Thanks.
Okay, next item on the agenda. Community Recreation Center improvements, engineering design, amended scope of work for Pickering Courts in Somerset.
Yes,
Everyone
so
received this today or tomorrow or yesterday?
this one was emailed to you separately yesterday. Apologize for that. We were waiting for these to come through. So we've had a lot of extra work being done in trying to keep with the schedule and the project moving forward. We asked first Pickering Courts in Somerset, who is a site civil engineering firm, to do additional work, which was out of scope, and trying to make sure that the budget stays on the positive side and the reporting to the board that we will have at the next meeting, or at least in the packet as far as informational. I know that there's always requests as to how much has been spent to date, approved versus spent to date. And we're working with our finance department and our financial software to job cost pretty much, and we're going to provide that report. Right now, we have a negative variance in Pickering's spending because they've done out-of-scope work and billed us for that work. So I asked them, Mark Havers, to put together a proposal to cover the extra work that we asked him to do. He outlined that succinctly in his, what is attached as Exhibit A, Pickering Court and Somerson Amendment Number 4, additional services. That total $73,095.59. Total brings their total approved contract amount to $188,535.59. Again, some of this work is in progress still, but some of it has already been done. If there's any questions on what work has been done by Pickering, it's in the memo, but I can also kind of briefly speak to it. But I know that there are a number of members of the supervisors that attend the building committee meetings, so I don't think this comes as a surprise. It's fortunately just kind of in the hurry of getting things moving forward, we didn't kind of catch up on the spending. So this is kind of to document everything and moving forward. So I'm asking the board to approve Pickering's additional scope of work, amendment number 4, for $73,095.59.
Is there a motion?
I'm sorry, can I ask a question? So this work has been done, but we haven't voted yet on the Park and Rec Center. This is site work for the Park and Rec Center, specifically the project?
Correct, to prepare the bid plans, specifications, and the bid package and the design.
Is there any way we could table this until our September meeting when we have all of the information? Would that, I'm just wondering, just trying to understand spending the money.
So a portion of this money's already been, they've done the work. We've asked them to work. And again, some of the stuff is, the MPDS permit and the preparation of sketch plans, attending additional meetings, survey work, revisions to the design, because we added the extra court, the calculations for the drainage. So the work's been done. So this just gets us to
equal to what the work.
With what they've done or what they're going to complete to get us to basically where we're at in the bidding process. Okay. That's where we're at. So.
Thank you.
Similar with the Gilmore.
And that's next.
Yes.
Okay,
Similar reasoning.
Correct.
Thank you. I just need the clarification. Thank you.
To just further clarify, Dave, this is all for planning work. It's nothing been on the ground, nothing like that.
No, it's all design, bid package, bid specs,
Just
everything to get us to where we're at.
So I thought,
you.
just making sure.
Yep.
So is there a motion to approve the amended
I'll make the motion.
contract? Okay. There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Is it 5-0? Okay. And now the Gilmore
Okay.
amendment?
Same situation here. We've, as part of the building, the Park and Rec Community Center, the Community Recreation Center, planning and landscape architecture piece of this prepared by Gilmore and Associates. There was additional work that had to be done. It's outlined in the attached memo prepared by Judy Stern Goldstein, as well as summarized in my memo. The only additional caveat to this is obviously they have to catch up. They need $11,555.78. I've also asked Judy to add an additional scope for basically construction services. So if there's any questions that come up during construction, that they would have to answer, field views, inspections, closeouts, all that stuff that they're going to do anyway, that wasn't in their original scope of work, which should have probably been there. I've asked them to do that. That's estimated at $10,000. So their out-of-scope services right now that is either done or, in process and will be billed or has been billed is $11,555.78, plus an additional $10,000. So the total ask for Gilmore is $21,555.78.
The construction coordinating services, how often will they be on site? And how often are they going to be touching the construction coordinating bit of this?
Well, if it's regarding landscape architecture piece, well, that we don't know. That's why we're estimating this as an estimate. It's almost like it's estimated at $10,000, but it's like a time and material, kind of not to exceed $10,000. Okay, that's typically how our consultants bill us. So it's hard to tell. I mean, the contractor gets out there and they find something, Judy's got to come out, or, we don't know at this point. It's hard to say. So that's why we just said, why don't we just estimate some amount of time
Yeah.
and a value for it and get it
And
approved.
they follow up with time records when,
Yeah.
when they, yeah.
They bill us on a monthly basis for all that, and they record time and rates.
So this is up to 10,000 though?
Correct.
Okay.
Dave, you would agree if for some reason a project doesn't proceed, there won't be an expenditure for that?
Correct.
Okay.
Of course. Okay, is there a motion to approve this additional to Gilmore?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Nay.
Okay, that's 4-1. Okay, next item on the agenda, zoning hearing board applications for 87 Hauk and 527 Caddy Drive. Are there any objections that we need to send council?
No, they're pretty straightforward. These are topics and variance requests that our zoning hearing board has dealt with in the past, and they can certainly address them once presented.
Okay, next item on the agenda, 2023 financial forecast. Who's making that? Is that you, Ken?
Yes, it is. So I wanted to bring to the board's attention the summary of information that we had presented to the Finance Committee last Wednesday. So what I handed out before the meeting was it is a summary of those July 31st results. So if you could bring up the first page, it is, that if you take a look at the top of the page, we budgeted $13,748,000 in revenue, and expenses were $13,751,000, excuse me. And there was a slight deficit as far as the operations was concerned. Well, the forecast as of July 31st came in at a revenue of $14,120,000 and expenses at $13,552,000, with a positive net income result of over $500,000. So we decided to put these results in a chart format, and working from left to right, first part is the interest income. The interest income has grown quite a bit since, since 2022. If you think about it, back in 2022 at this time, our operations account was earning 0.40%. Now it's earning 3.5%. So the result is that, the township has received quite a bit of interest income as far as on their accounts are concerned. And also, too, that we're taking a portion of our reserves that we have at the township and investing it in CDs, along with, we're investing it over at Pliget, which is earning between 5.5% to almost 6% as far as the interest income is concerned. So we're doing quite well there. The second bar indicates medical insurance and delayed hirings. And the medical insurance, as everyone knows, that we picked up a new plan as of May 1st, 2023, and we have realized a pretty good savings of to date of about $151,000 as far as the new plan is concerned versus the old plan. And due to delay of hirings as far as the water department and in public works, the township has saved about $132,000 there. So that threw off a positive, what we would call difference or variance as far as our budget versus actual. And the same thing with the third bar there, that because of delayed hirings in public works and because of our light winters that we've had in 22, 23, 21, 22, it goes back a couple of years that we hadn't had to spend a lot of township steel liquid fuels monies or general fund monies to pay for labor and road supplies and salt. So that threw off a positive variance also. The building permits, we brought it up about $70,000 higher than what was budgeted. According to the code enforcement officer, we've had another year in which we've been busy as far as permits are concerned. We haven't realized any large permits as of July 31st, 2023, but we're always monitoring that situation by talking to the code enforcement officer and the manager, just to make sure that if there's any large developments coming down the road, that we would take that into account. Also, with the Pebble Woods Woodridge project, we've been moving that along as far as trying to finalize, loans, payments on the sewer connection, it's according to the project. So we've been taking in fees, and that's had a positive variance as far as that is concerned. The large mover of our revenue stream here in the township is the earned income tax. As everybody knows that, in the past few years, the earned income tax has been substantially, going, up each and every year. And, so far, we've budgeted about 5.1. We've forecasted 5.3 for the rest of the year, and we're going to continue to monitor that. We may even bring that up to $5.4 million for 2023. And the other one is the surplus assets. Public Works and Operations has been taking the surplus equipment that we have out back and putting on municipal bid. We've had quite a good response as far as people, other municipalities coming out and, buying the surplus assets that we have here at the township. So that's been a positive variance so far this year too. And going on to traffic repairs, the traffic repairs, it's in a negative position. That's basically, because we've been having a lot of our traffic lights worked on, looked at, and maintained as far as 2023 is concerned. And then the legal for the Pebble Woods Woodridge project, these were the fees that were collected are being paid out to the solicitor as far as his work is concerned related to that project. And then transfer taxes. Transfer taxes, we called down about $100,000 for our forecast this year. We're going to continue to monitor that revenue, and we'll see if we have, we'll come in either budget or a little bit over budget as far as 2023. We had a strong July as far as our transfer taxes were concerned. Up until about June 30th, they were off a little bit as far as our transfer taxes were concerned. So is there any questions concerning this first page?
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the second page. Thank you, Ed. The 2023 capital forecast summary. Now, it is a summary for capital. We budgeted $8.9 million. As everyone knows, that $8.9 million does not include the building. We forecast to spend for capital expenditures of $6.2 million, and we're going to have a variance of about $2.7 million. As you can see, we picked several capital programs. As everyone knows, we've had a successful accelerated road program in 2022, and it continues into 2023. We just got our bids in for the second phase of the 2023 accelerated program. And like I said in the summary here, that we budgeted $4 million, we're going to spend $4 million as far as that is concerned. Safe Routes to School, that project has been was deferred in 22 to 23. It looks like it's going to be deferred from 23 to 24, and that's where it currently stands. The salt storage bin, if you take a walk out back, everybody will see that that facility is in place and holding the salt material. They're going to refurb that area in 2024. So we've expended a little bit of money this year for that project, but majority of it is going to be deferred to 2024. And if I may skip down to all other, we budgeted $2.1 million for all other projects, and we came in a little bit over budget. And some of the examples are the vehicles, bridge maintenance, bike and hike trail maintenance, MS4, Green Light Go projects, Arley projects, Turk 1 and Turk 2 lots, and the security cameras have been installed. So as you can see by our capital, projects, we do have a lot of capital projects to take care and to fund as far as that is concerned. So is there any questions concerning the capital projects?
Yeah, and the programs that are deferred to '24, who or when was that determined, or why? Do you know?
Well, the safe routes to schools.
No, I'm talking about the Tabor Steeplechase Trail, Kate's Castle Stain, Seal Dog Park improvements.
Well, we consult with operations, and operations gives us the indication whether that's going to happen in the current year or be deferred to the next year.
Oh, okay, so that's already been considered by the people who make that decision.
Yes.
And you also have grants pending from Bike and Hike and things like that, so
I forgot about
that
that.
was talked about, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Are there any, when I look at the all other category, if you had to stack the priorities, obviously bridges, security cameras, probably some of the, maybe the trail maintenance, I just want to make sure, I just want to understand when we put that money aside, when will this,
That's what we spent it on.
that's what we spent, we're done, but isn't there Chapman Bridge still, is there anything else outstanding? Isn't Chapman Bridge still outstanding? Sorry, I'm not being clear. I'm thinking in my
Bridge
head.
is still outstanding. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're doing the engineering and everything, but the state is going to be doing the cost of construction.
Okay,
Yes, it's on the TIP program, from
on
what I
the TIP
understand.
program.
okay. I just said that one's been carried over. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
it'll
was sorry I
carry
wasn't being clear. Okay,
One
thank you.
thing we don't have to fund, thank goodness.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. On to the next item. I brought this proposed budgetary fund balance policy to the Finance Committee last Wednesday, and I got a positive response back from them. My plan was to take this to the board on the 19th as far as your approval. We've always had a informal fund balance policy. We've used the 10% threshold, and I've always felt that we should formalize it. And so the fund balance policy that I presented to the Finance Committee, it would replace the current policy as it indicates here. My proposal is to move the fund balance from 10% to 15 to 20%. Now, I've researched it as far as other municipalities, larger, smaller. I went out to the GFOA website, emailed other GFOA members. The best practice for a fund balance is 16.7%. So that's the reason why I came up with the 15 to 20% threshold. It would be only for the general fund because, we have other funds like the fire tax, ambulance, off-site, state liquid fuels. They're all either assigned or restricted. And this fund balance policy would only be for the general fund because that is the only fund that we have that's unrestricted or for operations. So I was looking for some direction from the board, whether to formalize this policy. And like I said, I was going to bring it to the board on the 19th of September.
So when would the 15 to 20%?
Take effect
Yes.
as of 1/1/24.
Okay, so first year. This is 24, okay. I'm okay with it.
I think it's a
always
great
thought we
idea.
always thought we should have a policy. So I'm great with it.
Okay. All right,
I
thank
don't know
you.
how everybody else feels, but.
I feel the same way.
Well, it improves your bond rating too, by the way.
Exactly. It's a,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And don't forget, this 15 to 20% would be our minimum
Right.
fund balance.
So in terms of millage and taxing, explain to me how that would work. Because if we're saying we're keeping 15 to 20 and we're not going to reach that per se, I don't want it to impact raising taxes or millage. And I'm just asking, yeah.
Well, no, actually, Ken, he can.
Go ahead.
Just want to make sure, yeah.
I was just going to say, right now, what we do is we have a buffer in our budget, just in case, so just in case there's some horrible event that happens, that we can,
Right.
cover things before insurance kicks in, that type of thing. And so this policy is basically doing the same thing, except for it's making it more formalized. So it's not gonna, it doesn't change anything as far as millage or anything is concerned. This is strictly a policy on how much money we're gonna kind of hold back in case of an event. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, because,
I understand, because right now we're 10%. So that means, right? We're
It's a 10%, but it's a different, it's 10% of the 5-year operations expenses. The 15 to 20 kind of changes what we're looking at. So it's 15 to 20 minimum unrestricted general fund balance. So it's a little bit different.
So that money can then, so if something comes up, it still comes to the board to be approved. I'm just more worried about us having to increase our millage and our taxes to follow this protocol.
no, it doesn't
That's
have.
really, that's all I really, that's what I'm,
Understood. The fund balance is to make sure, as Supervisor Herring said, we have a buffer in case of a catastrophic event,
right,
whether that be weather or whatever. So
understood.
you would have that unrestricted fund balance to bridge a gap, okay, between the time, like, the insurance company comes out and does their thing, and we have the money set aside already to make and, pay for operations and continue as a township.
Okay.
And so it's 15 to 20%. It's not of any revenue that that comes in. We've already accumulated that and have it in different.
No, I understand. I'm just, don't want to make sure we don't inhibit any being able to move forward.
Definitely, apparently the door's locked out there.
Oh,
Well, one of the good things about this policy is the third bullet point. It says percentages to be reviewed annually by the Director of Finance and reset with board approval as
Yes.
required. So it does give us some flexibility to be able to.
maybe we do it every 6 months just to be sure it works. Could we build that in?
I think it would be hard to analyze. I mean, this is me
I don't know.
personally. I think it would be hard to analyze the policy on a 6-month basis. I think an annual
I'm not-
basis.
yeah.
I think this would be a policy that you would work through the budget process.
Okay. I just want to make, where I'm coming from.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm holding people's dollars that could be in their
You're not
bank
approving
account
that
instead of
anyway.
sitting in ours.
You're not going to approve
Understood.
tonight.
That's why I'm
More
concerned.
educational.
Yep.
So you can move it faster.
Thank
So
you.
that's,
Anything else?
that's all I have.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, moving on through the agenda.
Thank you.
Public comment, any item? Any public comment? Well, hearing none, we're going to adjourn now to executive session to consider a personnel matter. Thank you, everybody.
But no action will be taken at a public meeting.
No action will be taken, just the meeting.
So you're going to wreak havoc.
Thanks, Ken.
Welcome, thank you.
Remind me that we've got.
Fancy, you got the reporter texting us.
Wouldn't be an occasion to get the board together without having documents.
Oh, you could see it. I was like,
Are there documents to be signed? There are.
never dull moment.
We'll introduce you inside and get settled.
You know what? I think, I wonder if I asked Stephanie if it's on like a